Welcome to the Black Belt Business Podcast. My name is Matthew Brenner, and today I am with Ron Sell. Ron is the CEO and the CTO, the Chief Technology Officer of Spark, which is a software designed for martial arts schools who to help run their business. So, Ron, thank you so much for being on here today.
It's a pleasure to be here, man. Thanks for having me.
So I'm really excited because I met you personally about a year and change ago. And we may have met previously, but never really talked. And we got talking a little bit more at I think it was like the Relentless
Yeah,
conference and
it
summit.
sure was.
I talked to you and your wife. So it was really cool getting to meet you guys and talk to you. And wait, no, wait, was it your wife? Was she there?
Yeah,
No.
she was
Oh, she
there.
was there. She was there. Okay, yeah, it was
Yeah.
her. Okay, yeah. I was talking to her about allergies or something. Uh, anyway, that was a while ago. Um, and you have a really interesting story because you're a martial arts guy, just like me and probably most of the people listening, but you eventually became like a software guy, right?
Yeah.
So, can you tell me a little bit about that? Like how that? Like I know the story somewhat, but I know it's very much like you were down and down in the gutter, like really in tough times, and like completely transformed. So, can you tell us a little bit about how this all happened?
Yeah. Have you ever seen that meme where it says what you think success looks like and then what it
Yeah,
really looks like? And
yeah.
or
It's like a
there's even
like
one
a
with a mountain, right? And you're like falling down a mountain and hanging on barely. I mean, that really is life, right? And so there's been so many ups and downs in my life, and which are truly blessings to me because it really created me into to being someone pretty cool, I think. And but yeah. So I ran. I worked for my parents when I was like 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19 years old. Both of my parents are grandmasters. My dad has a statue in Korea in the Museum of Martial Arts, and
wait.
my
He has a
mom's
statue of himself.
like, yeah. I mean, yeah, he sure does.
Wow,
I haven't
that's
been
so
over there
cool.
to see it. Shame on me. But
Yeah,
all the time, all throughout the year, I have people that visit Korea and they take a picture of my dad and send it to me. So it's pretty cool. But yeah, I mean, so I was raised in martial arts. I mean, I was raised in really amazing martial arts, and I was one of those kids that I think I was born in the dojo. You know what I mean? I mean, like I was there every day, 6, 7, 8 hours a day. And then when I became 14 or 15, I started teaching. I wouldn't say working because then you'd have to get paid. My parents weren't
yeah.
paying me, but you know, but that sort of gave me, a great foundation, man. When it comes to business, I think if you can make it in the martial arts business, you could pretty much make it in any business. To be honest, it's there's so many skills that you have to master to really be amazing in the martial arts business, right? Communication, leadership, all of that stuff. And so that's kind of where I came from. And at age 19, I opened up my first school and failed miserably for the first couple of years. Like, my parents taught me the whole business. But then when I went off on my own, I figured I know more than they do. And,
Hmm.
struggled through that whole thing, learned some valuable lessons, did some crazy stuff, and actually went right back to what my parents taught me to do and became pretty successful
What
again.
kind of crazy stuff you talking about?
Oh man, I changed my whole rank system to like 47 belts. And, I mean, man, I did it all. You know what I
So you
mean? Like
changed the curriculum, changed the
change the
system.
whole curriculum to something different. And some of those things I kept. I thought they were very valuable, and other things I learned hard lessons. I think one of the coolest lessons was I wasn't afraid to just start over
Mm,
and experiment and see what really works, because my entire life, all I've cared about really is what produces results. You know what I mean? And so I would come up with a crazy idea like changing to 47 belts. I'm sure that's not how many I had, but it seems like it.
yeah,
And I would see if it works. And if it didn't work, I was not afraid to get rid of it. But and I think that's part of the success. I mean, even now in Spark, like it's like we try stuff all the time, every day, and it just doesn't work. And we're like, yeah, well, at least we know it doesn't work. We can move on to
yeah.
something else. We can try something else. Because all we really do care about is results. And but anyways, 19 opened my first school. I think 23 or 24 opened my second school, my second location. 27 or 28, I opened my third one. So I rapidly did pretty well for myself. And I was only like late 20s when all this happened, and I got bored. And so I'd sold all my schools. I literally sold my schools and like, what's next for me? I'm ready for the next thing.
Who'd you sell them to? Like, who? Because people always say they wanna sell the martial arts school.
Yeah.
Not always, but I hear that sometimes, so I'm like, "Who's
Yeah,
gonna
yeah,
buy
yeah.
it?"
And it's difficult to do, man. I mean, you have to have a staff that's willing to stay, and you have to have a staff that's well trained. And fortunately, because of my dad and mom's leadership role in my life, I knew how to create that. And so, yeah, I sold him. I sold him to Sergio von Schmeling, if you know that guy. Pretty
Yeah.
cool dude. That was back in the year 2000. That was a long
Mhm.
time ago, 2000.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I decided that I was going to go into something totally different, and that's why I told you if you can make it in the martial arts business, I think you can do anything. I started two new businesses that weren't related to martial arts whatsoever, and they exploded. And
Mm.
I was the sales guy and the marketing guy and all that stuff, and all I knew how to do was like do demos and sell martial arts lessons. And
Yeah.
I just changed out some words and I sold something else and it worked. And I'm like, wow, this is
What were you
kind of
selling?
crazy. The first thing was a company called Smart Lizard. That was the name of my company. I have no idea where that name came from. And
Okay.
we did websites in the year 2000. If you remember back then, maybe not. It was the .com
Boom.
burst.
Yeah.
Everybody was going
Progress.
bankrupt doing
Okay.
websites, and for some reason, small businesses back then didn't do websites. They just didn't have them. They knew they should, so I was the guy that came in and told them why they should, and sold them a website and built it out, and it was pretty awesome.
Mm.
But I
Okay,
got
so
bored of
how
that. I got bored of that, and so what I did was I sold it.
okay.
I sold that business to a local IT company who was glad to pay it for it, and
I have
I
a
was like,
question.
yeah.
Can I ask you, like, you're in your late 20s, so you had 3 martial arts schools, you sold them. Can I ask you how much you sold your martial arts schools for?
No, I'm not going to say that. What are you talking
Okay.
about?
I don't know. You don't have
Actually,
to.
that's so long ago. I don't even remember. I have no
Okay.
clue.
Yeah, because
It was
people sometimes will say, like, "Hey, like, I'm actually looking to sell," and I'll be like, "Okay,
yeah,
cool, like, how much do you want for it?" And they'll say, 700,000." I'll be like, "Okay, well, what's your revenue?" And they'll be like 12K a month," and I'm like, "Okay, what's your profit mar" and it's
sold.
just them.
I'll
Yeah,
take
it's like,
it.
Okay, good luck finding a buyer who's gonna buy
Yeah.
that."
Yeah, I think that, I mean, I still don't have that figured out. Basically, I sold my second company, the web design company, because I was bored and I was like, man, this is not what I. You see, in the martial arts, we take this for granted. You probably could understand this, that it's a very passion, purpose driven business, right? And so you're changing lives and you're helping people and you're respected in the community, and you're doing well in business. And then you sell that because the grass is greener. And then you realize, well, wait a minute, now I'm just selling widgets or websites. And there's no purpose in it. There was no passion in it. I didn't see anybody helped. I mean, sure, businesses did a little better, I'm sure, from having a website. I don't even remember back then, but I didn't feel that personally. So I did what everybody does, and I went right back to the martial arts. Not because I couldn't do anything else; I've already proved that. But it was more or less I just wanted to change lives, right? I wanted to impact students. I wanted the kid to come up that used to make D's and F's in school and see him making A's and B's again, right? I wanted to see
Mhm,
the shy kid become confident again. I mean, like
mhm,
I was masterful at creating a team that could transform lives, right?
mhm.
Inspire people to do something bigger with their lives. And so I came to Tampa. We're getting this long story, but
Yeah, that's good, listen.
I moved to Tampa, and I was like, you know what? I started business when I was 19 years old. Before that, I worked for my parents. I never had the college days, you're right. I never had the party days. I never had the hey, let's go out and have fun days because it was just like work my entire life. So I was like, I'm going to move to Tampa, a bigger city, has some really cool stuff here, great restaurants, clubs, blah blah blah, things to do. And I'm like, I'm going to go there. I'm going to open up a small karate school, and I'm going to enjoy my life. And what happened was something very different. I moved to Tampa. I opened up a martial arts school. Within the first 30 days, I had over 100 students enrolled. In like 6 or 7 months, I had almost 300 students,
Wow.
and I didn't have a staff. Like I was doing the mopping, and I was doing the mirror cleaning, and I was doing the sales and the intros, and I was doing the enrollments, and I was
How
doing
did you
everything.
grow that fast? Like, how did you enroll that many people so quickly?
I think once you get sales and marketing and that kind of stuff, and you do it so many times, like back when I owned three schools, it became easy, right? I mean, we knew we were changing lives, so all we had to do is get in front of enough people, letting them know the good news. Like, hey, if you join this, yes, these things will get better in your life. And I think once you believe that and you have confidence in that kind of stuff, I just think it becomes a lot easier. And I'm one of those guys. I'm one of those guys that feel like if you have a cure for something, then you need to tell the world about it, right? Like you need to let as many people as you know, because if not, you're a very selfish person. If you can help people, but you don't get out there and shout from the rooftops about that help, I mean, it's just a jerk move, I think, right?
Yeah, you're doing people a disservice by not sharing.
100%. A lot of people are scared of sales and scared of because they're afraid of what people will think about them. I'm the opposite. I'm like, I'm a scared of what people will think about me if I could have helped them and I just turned a blind eye to them, right?
Mm,
So I think that was the biggest part of our success in moving to Tampa was I just really knew it. I was confident in it, and I just talked to a lot of people, business to business, door to door. Within the first couple of weeks, I knew all of uh, my neighbors, my fellow business owners. They were all invited to the school. They all had 1 month free passes to come in, so the whole school was packed. But I don't wait till the month is end to enroll them. It's typically the first or second night,
yeah.
and that's just how we did it. I mean, like we had 100 people that were all the managers' kids, the owners' kids that were all doing martial arts. So I was kind of the talk of the town for the first 6 months because everywhere you went, they talked about my school because and I'll tell you how I did it. I walked in with donuts, man. I'm
Mm.
like, hey, I'm Ron. I'm your new neighbor, and we're super excited to be here. Anything I can do for you, let me know. By the way, here's a thing of donuts. And I did that for like the first, pre-sales. I did that pre-sales before we even opened the door.
Yeah.
So I went to everyone, and then a couple days later, I'd go back and bring more donuts. And finally, they all appreciated the donuts, and I asked them. I said, "Hey, do you mind if I, give you some guest passes and let all your kids do martial arts with us? Be my guest. It's a month, and just anything I can do to help the community." And they took me up on it. We built that rapport, and they liked me, and I gave a lot of value, a lot of donuts. And then eventually, I asked them if they wanted to come in, and then a few months later, I said, "Hey, do you mind if I put this lead box in or these flyers here or whatever?" I mean, it was they were just open arms because I took the time to build that up. So I think there's a lot of value in that. A lot of people they're trying to go for the let's get people sold right now, and they forget that there's a relationship that needs to be built there. And we've always just known that. Even when we built Spark, the very first thing we did for a whole year was just help people. Like we didn't have a software built yet, so we couldn't ask for money. So for a full year, me and my partner Grandma Spark, all we did was help people. We did a whole bunch of videos. He still does it. He hasn't stopped. 6 years going now, right? He's still just giving away his everything that he can to help people. Because if you help enough people, they start liking you. If they start liking you, they might look at what you're offering, and if what you're offering is pretty good, they might try you out, right? So anyway, so we opened up and we got successful really quick, which was not my plan. My plan was to own a small school and go out and have a good time in Tampa. And so I found myself overwhelmed with all the tasks. So as you've probably heard the story, I went down to the University of Barnes and Noble right here, Wesley Chapel, which is North Tampa, and I bought a whole bunch of computer books. And I was like, I'm going to write some software, and I'm going to try to get 10 hours of my life back. Now, I have not had previous training. When I owned the web design business, I wasn't the developer. I was a sales guy. I hired somebody at Barnes and Noble. Overheard this guy at Barnes and Noble say he knows how to do graphic design. I was like, "You're hired." But I mean, that's how it went, right? So
Yeah.
really had no background in programming, nothing like that. But I did have the desire to save 10 hours a week. Like I was like, if I could get 10 of my hours a week back, I wouldn't be so exhausted on Sunday. Be able to spend some time with my daughter, and I'd be able to go party in Tampa. And so that's what I did. It took me about a year to save those 10 hours a week of going through these books and trying stuff out. And that's another thing I learned too back then was, I would look at this block of code and I'd be like, what does this even do? I don't know. Let's run it, see what it does. And I think that's a very powerful lesson in business. A lot of times we're trying to wait for all of the inputs. Let's get all the inputs and find out from everybody. Let's search the web. Let's ask this person. And when really all you had to do was just try it and see if it worked. And if it didn't work, either change your approach or throw it away and try something else. And that's basically how I wrote the first version of what we have now as Spark. And it truly did. It was crazy. It was only designed for me. I had no intentions to give it to anybody else. All I cared about is how do I get 10 hours a week back in my life so I can enjoy Tampa, right? And enjoy my
Mhm.
daughter. And it certainly did that. It certainly has done that for me.
Yeah.
As well as, 5,000 other businesses out there that use Spark. I mean, and not only does that, but it makes them heck of a lot more money, and they're organized, and it makes what my favorite thing that it does is it takes them away from doing all the rigmarole of running a business so they can focus on the floor so they can help more people. You know what I mean? Anything that frees up your time to do what you're supposed to do, and martial arts instructor is supposed to be teaching. Anybody that any kind of tool that'll allow them to do that is something that I really love about what I do.
Mm.
So
So you mentioned the lizard company. What was the one after that? You said you had 2 companies before Spark. Was there 2? Was there just 1?
now there's just one. My
Oh, just
apologies.
1, and then Spark. Okay, cool. So
Yeah.
when you say 5,000 business, it is 5,000 martial arts schools, or have you guys branched out to other areas?
Yeah, yeah. So I mean, we don't market to any other types of businesses. But if you have a martial arts school owner that loves Spark and he tells his, dance studio friend, hey, you should use the software, that's usually how it's been going on. However, in January, we're launching to 3 major channels outside of the martial arts in
Cool,
areas that
which
we think that really help that help their communities. First one is CrossFit, any kind of boutique type of fitness. We all know that fitness is so important. We all know that it's so hard to I don't know. I struggle. I struggle with. I go to the gym every day and I struggle with it. But so we're gonna be branching out into those things. But the majority of them are all martial arts schools. We're in 17 different countries now. They're all English speaking, but 17 different countries that we support, and it's been one heck of an awesome ride helping these folks.
so how long has it been since you sold your martial arts schools to right now?
Yeah, so it's been about 10 years, I would
Okay,
say, about 10
and
years.
at what point did you feel like, "I made the right fucking decision. I'm glad I did this."
Also, I own a martial arts school now too. I
Okay,
don't go
you still
there. I'm
have
not
one.
the operator, but I own one now because I believe in what they do so much. I wanted to be a part of it, right?
Yeah.
Even though I'm not teaching and all that stuff. But anyways, but you know, I've been fortunate in my life that I've loved everything that I've gotten into, right? I mean, like people say, do what you love and it won't be any work. Well, it is a lot of work, but I still do what I love. But I've been fortunate enough in my life that everything I've done, running schools, though I don't miss it because it's been replaced with something else that I love too. But going back then, I loved it. I loved doing the websites. I would never go back, right? Well, I guess we do websites, don't we? And then I don't do them. We have a team, right? But
Yeah,
then, you know, I just love helping business owners,
right.
especially anything in the fitness realm, martial arts, kickboxing, MMA, CrossFit. I just love that. And so I get a heck of a lot of joy every day. Like when I wake up in the morning, I'm ready to go and run still now, after doing this for so long. It's because I just love seeing the results that people are getting from it, right? So
Mm.
it was instant. As soon as the first person said, Ron, it also saved me 10 hours a week. Or as soon as the first business told me, hey, Ron, I don't need to hire another employee because Spark took care of almost a full time employee. I mean, those types of things just really make me happy.
Yeah, so is there at what point did you feel like you're d like, what your financial success that you have now, at what point were you like, "Oh my god, this is way bigger than I thought it was gonna be?" Was it year 4? Was it year 2?
Yeah. I just couldn't believe it ever grew that big. I mean, we got to 100 schools and I'm like, holy crap. I mean, are you fucking kidding me? Like, how did we get 100 schools and now we got over 5,000? It's like, I don't know, man. I just feel really blessed and lucky, to be honest. It's like, yeah, I feel really lucky to live the life that we do and to help them as many people as we do.
Well, I feel like it's not luck to go into Barnes& and Noble and teach yourself a skill set that you had no previous experience in, it's not like you had someone in your family who's like, "Let me show you how to do this, like, you can make a
Yeah.
lot of money." You're just like, "No, I just wanna learn how to do it for myself," and, most people will not take the time and energy to go educate themselves in a skill set they don't know unless someone pushes them along like a boss, like they have to
Yeah,
do it,
sure. Sure.
or maybe their back's up against the wall. You had a skill set, you could run martial arts schools, make decent money or good
Yeah.
money and do that forever, right? But you're like, "Hey, I wanna do this other thing." And, most information is free on the internet, right? Or in books. Like, you don't necessarily need to pay someone for it,
Yeah, for sure.
right? But, like, sometimes people have to pay to actually do the work.
Yeah.
But you're like,
They
"Hey, I'm
need
gonna go
a
to Barnes& and
mentor to
Noble."
push them. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah, you need a
I've
mentor to push them.
honestly, I've never been that way. I might be weird in that I'm just internally motivated because I'm hungry. Also, what's crazy is that like when I bought those books, it's because there was no YouTube back then. We couldn't watch
Right.
videos. Now you can. There's no excuse not to learn something new. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Back then there wasn't Google. There wasn't. It's like I don't know how old Google is, 15 years or something like that, but it wasn't as easy. And so me learning that stuff was really just me having the desire to just learn that knowledge, right? And had no one really pushing me to do it. And then there's another concept too. It's like that I think about it all the time. Is like um, there was no expected payout for me. Like I was hoping it would save me 10 hours a week, but that was just a hope while I did it, right?
Right.
I could have just added on more and more time, right? But
You
my
you
hope
probably
was
had to
that.
spend you probably had to invest, I'm assuming dozens of hours
It's
or
funny,
hundreds
right?
of hours in
Yeah,
order to save 10 hours.
100%. And all the frustration and all of it not working over and over and over until it did work, right? That's the definition of persistent right there. You just keep it doesn't work and you keep going. And then also I wasn't going to turn this into a business. I had no hope for that. And then when we started Spark, my second software company, when I started Spark, it's like we had no guarantee that it was going to work. So we put that year in of helping people, plus me spending about, and I'm not over exaggerating, I spent 20-hour days for 11 months straight to write every single piece of Spark from scratch and eating meals at my desk. My wife, Jen, thank God, she'd bring me. I'd sleep 4 hours a night, which I'm more of an 8 hour a guy, type
I
guy.
don't know how you could function in 4
I
hours.
don't know how I did it because I had to, right? And but there was no, I didn't know if it was ever going to pay off. I just did the work with a whole lot of hope and confidence that I could really help a lot of people. You know what I mean?
Mm.
Which I think not a heck of a lot of people do. I'm struggling with this whole gym thing. I went back to the gym 3 months ago. I go every day because I've been sitting in a chair for too long, and I want to live long life for my kids. And so I'm pretty motivated with it. And you don't see much difference after a month or even 2 months. And but I'm thinking back to when I was doing the software. When I didn't have any expectations back then either. I'm just going to continue to do the work, and then just hope that it's all gonna work out. I think that's a big thing in business. A lot of people, they just don't stick it out long enough, or they don't have enough drive to get past the finish line, right?
Yeah, delayed gratification is probably the most important skill set. Like,
Yeah,
be able to do the work with seeing no results
yeah.
for an unreasonable amount of time.
And
And then you get crazy results quickly, and everyone goes, "Wow, look how fast that happened."
yeah,
Right? And for you right now, I feel like your next challenge is something we were talking about before we even hit record on the podcast, which is you're building a headquarters for Spark.
yeah.
And that's bring a whole new set of challenges because when I got on here, I'm like, "Hey, is that your home office?" And you're like, "Matt, you try to piss me off?" I'm like, "What do you mean?" And you're like, "Well, I'm trying to build this office for us, and it's taking way longer than expected." So, can you tell me a little bit about that, just so people understand
Yeah,
a new set of challenges that come with it?
yeah. So during the pandemic, we wanted to own property. I mean, that was something important to us. We're doing very well as a company, and it's like we're going to continue for the next 20 years to throw away rent money or lease money or whatever. Are we gonna step into real estate? So, you know, right before the pandemic, we were looking for buildings to move into in Tampa. There was nothing, like no commercial buildings available for sale. And so we're like, well, what are we going to do next? And we're like, all right, we're going to buy a piece of land. We're going to buy a piece of land and we're going to build our own building. And that sounds
Damn.
fun, I'll tell you. But it's been one challenge after another, after another, after another. And then when I think the light is at the end of the tunnel, it just the goalposts seemed to get moved farther. But yeah, so we bought a piece of land. The first thing that happened was the guy, the general contractor that we hired to do this whole project, uh, he didn't own the land, and he said he did. So we're at closing, and we're sitting down to close on the loan, and it's like, oh, I don't own the land yet. so that, like, we had to go out and we had to personally pay cash for that piece of land, and then our I think our closing was delayed like 2 months, which means construction was delayed 2 months. Well, we at least own a piece of land, and then it just was one thing after another, man. Just doing this stuff. It took 6 months just to get permits pulled. Now our general contractor told us it was going to take, it's going to take like 2 or 3 weeks because it's all automated now. It's all electronic. I'm like, well, I need to go and write some software for this county to
Yeah.
get that. But it took 6 months. There's ideas for business everywhere. You just got to pay attention. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
But
so it's taking way longer than you expected it to.
yeah,
So
yeah.
how long has it been since you started the process?
I think it's been, so it was during the pandemic that we were doing that. I don't know. It's probably been at least a year and a half on a 6-month project.
Wow, okay,
Yeah.
and you're not done yet?
No, so we're hoping. We're
We're
hoping that we're
hoping.
going to be done January 1st. Move in,
Okay.
ready to go.
Okay, cool, and then who moves into that office? Like, who goes you go in there every day and
Yeah, yeah.
Grandmaster
So I
Park?
plan on going in most days. I'm not sure I'll go in every day. It's only about 14 minutes from the house, so that's kind of cool. And but yeah, I mean, all of our Tampa team will come. We've got about 12 of us here in Tampa.
Cool,
We're kind of spread out a little bit. We've got a bunch of people down in Fort Lauderdale, South Florida area. Um, One of my programmers lives in St. Pete. He'll probably stay home. Programmers work better from home. They don't like the whole office thing, and I'm cool with that. And then I have 2 people or 3 people in Canada that work for us.
hmm,
So they're not coming, just the folks in Tampa.
okay, very cool, and who does all the designs for that kinda stuff? Like, do you hire someone to come in, make all the furniture or put order all
Yeah,
the
so
crap?
we are hiring an internal decorator.
Okay,
But that does, we're right now we're interviewing or whatever they're called,
yeah,
decorators. We're
designers, yeah,
interviewing design, yeah, whatever. I think there's 2 different things. I think there's a designer and a decorator in there
okay,
too.
well, I wouldn't know, I never had to build it from scratch, so
Yeah. So, anyways, we're interviewing right now, and so I think soon as we get, as soon as they're done with the next stage, which is we're putting up glass walls inside. As soon as that's done, they're going to get in there. But we're going to move in while they're decorating. I mean, I'm anxious. I'm ready to go. I'm not waiting until the whole thing's done. I like
hmm.
that, moving in before it's perfect and just waiting. Right on.
So how many square feet will it be?
It's 5,000 feet. And
5,000 square
inside
feet.
there, which I'm excited about, 1,400 of the 5,000 feet is classroom space. So when I
Okay.
say classroom, that is so that people can fly into Tampa and we can work on their business, work on their software, work on their automations, work on saving them time, work on making them more money, and we can do that like on a monthly basis.
Very, very cool. So do you get, like, anxious being in your home office? You're like, "Oh, I just don't wanna be in the same spot anymore." You get bored?
It's just, I have 5 kids, I have 6 kids, but only 5 in the house. It's a very big distraction.
Okay, so you're able to focus better.
Yeah, I think it's the focus part that I'm most excited about.
Yeah, I like how you're
Also,
looking around when you say that, like,
yeah.
"Shh." Yeah.
It's also, I think, there's something about being in person with your team. There's something about getting together, talking together, brainstorming together. I think those things are powerful from a culture standpoint and from a growth standpoint. So I'm really excited about hanging out with my team on a more regular basis.
That's really cool. The people that are actually live in Tampa, like,
Right
driving
on.
distance.
Yeah.
Are you gonna require them to come into the office, the people that are close enough to?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure we're going to do that.
Okay. Are they stoked about that? Like, "Oh, new cool office space?" Or are they like, "Ah,
They
I'd
tell
rather
me
be at
to my
home?"
face, they tell me yes.
It's your face. Okay, cool. So you mentioned earlier that, the gym has been a little bit of a struggle. So do you have, like, a trainer? Like, what do you do?
Yeah.
For
So I
weightlifting?
hired, yeah, so I have a mentor. His name is Anthony Graff. I'm sure you may know who Anthony Graff is. So he's my mentor in this whole thing. And so every day he's telling me exactly what to do. And then that got overwhelming. So I hired 2 different trainers at the gym. I joined a gym. I hired 2 different trainers because one couldn't get me every day. So I had to hire 2 different ones. So yeah, so I'm giving them the plan Anthony's given to me. and then they work me out, and it's
That's so
brutal.
funny.
Yeah.
So Anthony, he's like an online trainer, and he just gives you
No,
like a
he's a
program.
martial arts guy, and he's down
Okay.
in Miami. He's got a martial arts school down in Miami. One
I
of
think I
the
do know who that
neatest,
is. Okay.
yeah, Anthony Graff. He's one of the neatest guys I've ever met. Wonderful father, incredible athlete, and so he's the one that I went to. I was like, hey man, will you help me out? Like I'm sick of my life. I'm sick. I'm not sick of my life. I'm sick of my health, and I know if something doesn't change in my life, because I'm not as active as I used to be when I owned martial arts schools, that I'm not going to live the life that I should, and I'm not going to give back to my kids like I should, and I'm not going to enjoy my later years as I should. And so he was like, "Yep, done." And ever since that day, he's been cracking the whip on me, man.
That's amazing. So, is there something that happened that motivated that? Like, I don't know, you went to a doctor, had high blood pressure or something, and he said, "Hey,
Yeah,
you gotta get this."
yeah. So I do blood work every 3 months, and there's nothing there. But I can see it in everybody. Everybody. I can see it in people as they get older. They're starting to, things are failing on them, and I just knew the path I was on. And one of my biggest purposes in this life is to be an awesome dad. And I just didn't think that those two things went together. Me not taking care of myself, and having a good life for my kids. So I had enough. Took me about a year to get fully upset enough at myself for not taking action before I approached Anthony. But and then I wrote this big long document, big long note in my phone about why I'm doing this. And I was pretty ugly with myself. I was pretty real and raw. And I was like, man, if you don't do this, this is what's going to happen in your life. And I think that was the stepping stone for me to say, okay, well then if this is true, then I got to do something about it today. And so that's what I did. So I think there's probably a lot of people out there, man, that are in my situation where, I'm running 7 different teams, 4 different companies. I have 5 kids. There's a lot going on in my life, and I put myself last. I put my health last. I always like, oh, but if I could spend 20 minutes doing this, or I could be 20 minutes at the gym. And I always just chose this because it seemed more important until it's not more important. I think I got some good leverage on myself to make a big change.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to that same delayed gratification, right? It's like you can put in the work now, so you have the time to spend with your
Yeah,
kids or grandkids later, right?
right on, right on.
Yeah, I think that's super cool. So, do your kids train in martial arts? Have you like kind of pushed them in that direction, or?
No, even though the school that I own, an amazing instructor, John Gaston, who owns that school with me, only lives 10 minutes away. They're not in martial arts. And the biggest reason is just we're just going in so many different directions that we just haven't gotten it done. But hopefully, when wakeboarding is done, which is soon, and gymnastics is done, which I don't think ever gets done. Like I have 5 kids and they all do 5 different things. You understand what I mean?
Oh
So
wow! So I think I've seen some of the wakeboarding videos. That's like a Florida sport. I
yeah, it
feel like
is.
I don't know. I didn't have any friends growing up in Philadelphia. It's like, oh, I do wakeboarding. Like that would never ever happen.
It's a lot
Uh,
of fun. I grew up on the lake. We live on a 450-acre lake.
okay,
For those of you guys that don't know what that is, it's huge. It's just a big
yeah.
lake, perfect for what we do. We
Are
do
you
some
part of a
surfing out there.
community? Like you live in a community?
No, we just live around this big lake. I mean, it's not. We're on the kind of in the country on the second biggest lake in Tampa.
Okay.
Um, so I guess it's a community, but it's not like a. We're just separated by a road that goes around the entire lake.
Mm. So, uh, it's funny. I actually forgot you lived in Tampa because I will be in Tampa in January. For that thing that you probably gonna be like, man, that'd be cool. My 20s or 30s, maybe, which is Gasparilla.
Oh yeah,
Uh,
yeah, it's fun. So you're going to Gasparilla?
Yeah, so I went last
You can
year for
have
the
a
first
blast.
time.
Yeah,
Yeah, so last year I went, a buddy of mine moved out there, and he's like, "Hey, you wanna come down? There's this, like, thing called Gasparilla, people dress like pirates," and I didn't know anything about it, and I even forgot what the word was. I didn't know the word Gasparilla. Then I'm on the airplane, and the pilot's like, "Who's on the plane for Gasparilla?" And everyone's like, "Ah!" And I'm like, "Oh, Gasparilla, that's what it's called." And I Googled it while I'm on the airplane, and I'm like, "Oh, that's what he said, pirate thing. Oh, cool." And then I'm hanging out with him, and he's like, "All right, well, tomorrow we gotta wake up for Gasparilla, and we gotta, um, we're gonna go to my friend's house and we're gonna have some drinks. And I'm like, all right, cool, that sounds good. But I'm gonna like wake up, I'm going to the gym. I'm assuming we'll go there like 3 or 4. He's like, no, man, we're gonna be there at 9:30 in the morning. I'm like, what are you talking about?
It's a
I'm
long
like,
day.
yeah, like I love having a couple. Not a lot. I don't. Yeah, I like having a couple drinks, but not too often. I'll probably have a couple drinks once a month, right? If that. It's just I'm not super into it. But every once in a while, I'll get drunk with my friends. It'll be super fun. And this is that situation, and I didn't know that it was gonna be an all day like affair. And like when I walk outside and see everyone in pirate costumes and everyone's drunk by noon, I'm like, this is crazy. And one of his friends is a physician and does super well, and he had his boat on the water, so and all his food and spread and alcohol.
So
And I'm like,
you
this
went on the
is
boat?
yeah. I went on the boat, which is
Oh
super
yeah, that's
cool. They
fun.
had the pirate boat go by with the cannons and stuff.
It's fun. It's fun.
Yeah, and so I told my friends, I'm like, guys, we're and my girlfriend, I'm like, we're going to Gasparilla next year. Like, we have to. It is so cool. It's such a good, like, unique cultural experience
Yeah.
that I have to. But you're probably bored of that because like every year, you're probably like,
No,
I don't want
I
to go.
don't go every year, but I'll go this year so I can come see you. But
Okay,
it's a blast, and there's more than just that one day. There's like the children's parade, then there's the night parade,
okay,
then there's another one, the day parade. It's and it's on different weekends, and it's crazy. So let me know when you're coming.
yeah, that
I did the same thing a few years ago, man. My daughter turned 21, Madison, and she says to me, she goes, "Hey, Dad, for my 21st birthday, I want to hang out with you." I'm like, "That's crazy." Like when I was 21, the last thing I wanted was my parents around.
yeah.
And
Uh,
so
yeah.
we went to Nashville for
Ooh,
the week, and it was really cool. My ex-wife, which is Madison's mom, and her husband went with us. We all stayed in this. My wife and Madison, and we all stayed in this big Airbnb in Nashville, and just had the best time of our life. But on the plane, we found out that there was a singer-songwriter event called Tin Pan South,
okay.
and so I bought tickets while I was on the plane. And when we land, we went to this event, and that was 4 years ago. We're gonna go. We go every year. I've already got it booked, going for a whole week, and to go to this event, listen to some great music, singer songwriters. So it's just like that, man. You go to this event and you figure out, wow, where has this event been all my life? Going every year.
Yeah. So, what is it, like a music festival sort of thing, or more of a
Yeah,
conference?
so it's a singer-songwriter event. So everyone that's at the event, and it's for 5 straight days. There's two venues, there's two shows a night, there's 10 venues. So it's like 200 concerts basically. And everybody that's on stage times four people at each event, four songwriters. So all of these songwriters have written at least 10 number one songs that everybody sings, but you didn't know it was this person that wrote that song,
Mm,
right? And so what's cool about it is they get up on stage. There's four of them on stage. They all have acoustic guitars. There's only like 600 people in the audience, you know. And the first person goes, they do it. I think it's called a songwriters robin or round, songwriters round. Anyways, first person gets up there and they're like, "Hey, yeah, I wrote this song because my, whatever," tells a story about it. So now you're like, man, I always thought that song was something about something totally different, right?
yeah.
So it's really cool to get the background and why the song was written, and they sing it. And a lot of these songwriters are way better than the artists that bought the song and sing it and got a number one off of it, right? One of
So
the
these
events we went to, all four of the people that are on stage, they all won American Idol 4 different years. So
oh,
now you got
wow.
the quality of these American Idol winners, but now they're songwriters in Nashville and they're writing songs for everybody, and that's their life. So it's really fun. It's
So
a
now you
cool
go
event.
back every year with your daughter.
I will for as long as I shall live, till I'm 90
Wow.
something years old. I will
That
go back every year.
that's so freaking cool. So, now that obviously you have Spark, super
Yeah.
exciting, doing well financially, when you, like, first made, like, really good money, you're like, "Oh, wow, this is freaking amazing." What did you buy? Was there something like, "Oh, I'm gonna get a boat," or, what is the first, like, big purchase?
Yeah. So yeah, you know my story. I lost everything, two car repossessions, lost my house, all that stuff. And so the very first thing that I bought was a Mercedes AMG GT63,
Cool.
and I still have it, and it's a race car, man. I love it.
Yeah, that's awesome. So,
But
ho
I've got
what year is it?
what year is it?
Yeah,
2020. Yeah,
2020. Okay,
yeah,
cool.
2020. It's time to trade it in and I just don't want to. I don't know. I don't know what I would get next, so I I don't know.
Is that your everyday car?
I don't drive very much, but yeah, it's my
Okay.
everyday. Yeah,
That's your everyday. Okay. All right,
yeah.
cool. And if you were to recommend to a new budding entrepreneur and say talk about, what books have been the most impactful in your life? If you had to pick 2,
Sure.
which 2 would you choose?
I don't know. I like this book called The Big Leap. I think it's a really cool book. Um, it really depends on where you are in your journey, right? I think The Big Leap is a really great book for everybody. Uh, my mentor Dan Martell, he just wrote a book called Buy Back Your Time. But I really do think that that's for someone that's along their journey a little bit farther. But if you are along your journey and you're feeling overwhelmed, I think that book is miraculous. It changed
Mm.
my life. Um, there you go. You said two. That's good.
Yeah.
I,
Okay, yeah, that's great.
that book Relentless came out and I bought it and I never read it until last week. Someone told me that what I was talking about came out of the book, and I'm like, no, it came out of my head. But so I went and read the book Relentless this week,
Yeah.
and wow, what a great book that is, huh?
Yeah, very cool. Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, I read that book too. I don't honestly don't remember. I probably read it 4 years ago, maybe. I don't really remember it, but I definitely read it a while ago.
yeah.
So was there a time where you felt like you were gonna quit and you're like, "All right, forget all this. Like, tell me about a time that happened and what turned it around?"
Yeah, man, I think about quitting all the time. I just don't. There's been many times in my life, man, that I wanted to quit, and sometimes I quit for like an afternoon, or sometimes I quit for a day, and then I just get right back to it. You know what I mean? I mean, life is
Mm,
hard. It's not life is tough, and it's not easy, and things don't go your way, and people don't like you sometimes, and I mean, all of that's reality, and those types of things tend to make me want to quit. I just don't, right? I just
cool.
don't. Anytime you fail, I look at a failure. I look at failure a lot differently nowadays. I look at failure as necessary, like it's a necessary part of your life, right? I think it's your greatest teacher, um, and I think that it propels you to move forward, right? If you allow it to. So
Mm,
yeah, I mean, back when I lost everything, I almost quit, and I think I quit for 2 weeks. Mentally, I quit. Emotionally, I quit, and then I wrote myself another letter, and I do that. I write down my thoughts. I recorded a video, and it was just like, "Hey, I can't look at my kid in the face and say I quit." And so that was my motivation, my leverage, if you will, to
mm,
get off my butt and keep moving forward.
mm.
But yeah, that's a good question, man. I'm glad you asked it.
Yeah, and, you know, this is a question I think I have more personally is that so I'm 32 years old, right? I have no kids. I wanna have kids, so it's gotta happen pretty soon. And there's a lot of people I think like me, at least my generation, that like put that off for later. So how old were you when you had your first child?
27.
27. Okay. And if
Yeah,
you could do it again, would that be the age you'd have in like a perfect world? Would that be the age
yeah,
you'd have a child? Would you have it sooner or later?
yeah. What an odd question, man.
Yeah.
What an odd
Do you,
question.
I was thinking about
I
it
would
because
I would change nothing in my life, man. Madison, who is now 22, going to be 23 in a few months, which I had when I was 27, I guess. Greatest thing that ever happened to me. My second, my third, fourth, fifth child. We're adopting a child right now, 7-year-old girl.
oh
Um,
wow.
all of that stuff is like, it's just like, that's what brings you the joy in your life, man. You know what I mean? Like family and kids and moving along in the right path together. I mean, that's really where the biggest juice and joy of life is. So I certainly wouldn't have waited anymore.
Yeah, I just heard some sort of statistic about, a lot of people think you should wait to have kids until your career is you're a certain level of your career because then you can focus all on that and not. And there was some stat about how like the world's like richest people all had kids like in their 20s and like didn't necessarily wait till their 30s or they all did it pretty soon. Like Elon Musk, like he didn't wait till like much later. He was like in his like earlier mid 20s. He just keeps on having kids and I don't know in his situation, I don't know how much attention they get. I know nothing about that, right?
Yeah.
But yeah, for my like generation or age group, I'm always curious for someone who has kids, right? Like how like what you think about that. So how do you juggle like you obviously running the businesses takes up a lot of your time. Is there certain times of the day that you prioritize? Like, oh, between these hours, I don't work at all, just
Yeah.
family time?
Yeah, so I try to every day at like 3 or 4 o'clock just to be done. I just walk away from it. I used to work all day long, right? I mean, that was just the what you did. And nowadays, and some days I call in well. I mean, I tell my team I'm just not going to do anything today. Um, and because I my kid comes up and says, "Hey, let's go jet skiing on the lake," and I'm like, "Yeah, heck yeah, let's do that." You know what I mean?
Cool.
Or let's do something cool together as a family, and we do that often. We're now every Wednesday we're doing family date night, which I've always done date night with my wife, but I was like, now how come we're not doing that with the kids, right? So, we're doing that every Wednesday. But yeah, man, I'm very focused. When I work, I'm extremely I think martial arts gave that to me, that just intense, deep focus. Like nothing else goes on, and I can accomplish so many, I think, genius things, right? In such a short amount of time. And then I take it up the next day. So
Cool. So I want you to answer this question. So I feel most alive, or finish the sentence. Sorry.
okay.
I feel most alive when.
Feel most alive when. Why don't you give me these questions before we start these things so I can think? I
So I
feel
want to hear what you have in the moment, not some canned thing you have time to think about.
most alive. Man, I don't know. I mean, my whole life is pretty damn good, man, and I feel lucky and blessed like almost all the time. Uh, except the times when I want to strangle the kids, but other than that,
Well, I think that's probably every dad at some point, right?
yeah, 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 yeah. I think I feel most alive when I'm learning something new, right? Like even now with technology, like I spent 4 hours yesterday learning more about technology. I mean, and that's a habit of mine. I mean, just I'm constantly doing that. And when I learn something new and see its application, I think that's when I become most alive. Like that really that gets me pretty fired up.
What's something new you heard recently about technology or you've learned that you feel like most people don't know?
This AI stuff is crazy in multiple ways. It's really cool, and then it's really weird at the same time. This AI technology is moving so damn fast that things that I learned that worked that were awesome a month ago don't even work the same way anymore. It's like
Hmm.
totally changed. So we're in this whole AI thing, which I really do find really fun and interesting. It's just moving so fast. The cycles are so close that I don't think anybody's going to have a real good handle on it for a while.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like every single day I see ads on, Facebook or Instagram, like use AI to promote your business or blah blah
Yeah,
blah. And I'm
yeah.
like,
I think
you're
all of those
just
guys are going to be out of business. Like I really do. Like most of these people that are saying all that stuff like they haven't figured out, I know for a fact don't. Like they just don't have it figured out yet.
yeah.
And
So you think no one's got it figured out yet? Like,
a
'cause
lot
it's
of
just
these
so new.
guys are, they're hype sellers, right? They're selling to people that don't know any better because they haven't taken the time to put in there. But I do also think there's some AI stuff that's going to come down the pipeline pretty soon. That's really going to help a lot of people. Already's helping me, and I just trying to figure out how to mold it a little bit more. I feel like I'm back in, starting that software company again, and the possibilities of things that are really going to help people. So
Are you talking about help you like with your business or personal life or
No, in business, man. I mean, there's some really cool things that AI can do already. That's not fluff. It's not like sizzle. It's just stuff that would take you if you manually did it. You know, all day, maybe even multiple days, and it can happen in just like 34 seconds. So I'm excited to get some of that stuff out.
so what's your next big goal, like not for the business, but for you personally?
Yeah, next big goal is really it's about my health right now, man. Like I'm not well, I guess I could be overweight, but it's like I don't feel like I'm like crazy obese, but that's really like the next year. Like I'm a long game player here. I really want to get myself back into incredible shape. I'm gonna run the turkey trot. Some guy Anthony got me signed up for that. Gonna run that. Never ran anything in my life, but I think that's gonna be one of my goals is to just like set some goals about things that I want to accomplish in the health. For my family, man, like we're already doing what we've always wanted to do, and that's spent a heck of a lot of time together doing really fun, cool things, taking some really cool trips. So continue that. The business though, business I'm excited about too, man. We're going to be doubling our got my dog here, sorry. We're going
That's
to
all
be
good.
doubling our efforts and our enrollments here over the next couple of years. So we're pretty excited about that too.
Mm. Do you have like a really cool big trip planned for your family? Like you're going
Uh,
somewhere cool?
we were going to go to Utah in the middle of winter, and I've decided against that. So I'm not sure.
Why? Because too cold?
Yeah, I'm a Florida boy, right?
Okay. So what are you
Yeah,
thinking instead?
we're gonna take the whole entire family to Park City, Utah. We shelved that, so I'm not sure. We're gonna replace that with some kind of cool trip, though.
But you don't have it somewhere in mind yet.
Not yet.
All right, another question that you're not gonna have any time to prepare for, but I want
Okay,
to see what you come up with the
bring it
moment.
on.
All right. What's the best gift you've ever received? And you can't say your kids
All
or
right,
what.
this is crazy, right? This is crazy. It's in my wallet, and it probably cost about $4.
Okay.
But my daughter Madison, she uh, she got this thing, and I know it just says to my dad, carry this card in your wallet to always remember you hold a special. I can't even read it. I can't read it.
Okay, just like a really cool gift from your daughter about how special you are. That's awesome. Uh, what job would you not do even if you made $1 million a month?
What job would I not do even if I made $1 million a
Yeah,
month?
like I would never work in this job or area. It's just something you hate.
There's like a million things that I wouldn't do if I had $1 million a month. That I'm currently doing.
No, 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 not
Okay,
your current job. Like, what's a
just
job? Like maybe I don't know, working as I don't know, cleaning. I don't know. You have no money, but you could make $1 million a month, but it's not worth it to you to do this job because it's so terrible.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I would think any physical labor outside in the Florida sun, man. I can't do it.
Even though you're a Florida boy, it's just like being out there would be
I
too
have to
tough.
use my brain, man, to make money.
Okay. All right, cool. And let's see if I have another good one here for you. Uh, so tell me about a time when, or sorry, so how do you keep your business relationships healthy? So we talked about like your family, right?
Yeah,
And the
sure.
kid, you have date night with the wife, date night with the
Yeah,
kids now. What about with your business partners?
yeah, absolutely. Like so, um, me and Chung Park, we talk every day, sometimes all day long, which is sometimes too much, and it's annoying. But we do. But we keep that relationship, right?
Yeah.
Um, with my other partners, we have a weekly meeting that we all get on Zoom and we all just start talking together, or maybe it's Google Meets. I'm not sure. I just click the thing in my calendar and we join, right?
Yeah.
But that's what we do every week. We sit down and we talk about where we went, where we are going, and the first 10 minutes is usually us talking about crazy stuff that's happening in our lives and our families. So I think that's super important, man. The communication and talking together, and I like the whole Zoom thing because my business partners, one's in Oregon and two are down in South Florida, and I'm here, and I think that Zoom thing's really helped out. Can keep that connection alive.
Very cool. And do you have like a certain agenda you talk about, or you just talk like shoot the shit?
Yeah, no agenda whatsoever. Yeah, we
Mm,
we like it conversational and just as if we were showing up in the office together.
All right, last one. What's something that people don't know about you?
So I used to go to prisons when I was a teenager and get a microphone and speak to prisoners, and then we would go to uh, like halfway houses for kids
Okay.
and we'd speak to the kids. And that's really where I started understanding giving back to people, right?
Mm.
That couldn't possibly do anything for you, and how much joy you got from that. But yeah, that was a lot of fun. We used to go to inner cities and do the same thing. My mom and dad really had a heart for people. I
Mm.
think that's where maybe I got it from. And so we would do the craziest stuff, man. Just like, hey, there's the inner city. Let's just go out there and do martial arts and see if we can grab a crowd, and then let's talk to them about good stuff, positive, happy stuff that their lives can get changed, hopefully. So yeah, we did a lot of that kind of stuff. Went to a maximum security prison here in Florida. Uh, talk to the prisoners. But I think that was what a good joy and what a good lesson I learned when I was just a teenager.
Yeah, I think that's so awesome, be able to give to someone who you know cannot give anything back for you, like, completely
100%.
selfless.
Yes,
Once a
sir.
month, I like to, in, like, a similar, I guess, fashion, different, but I'll buy a meal for someone I don't know randomly.
Yeah.
So if I'll be it doesn't matter, I'll be in line at Chipotle or something, and I'll be like, "Hey, just put whatever this guy's person or this couple or this kid or whatever on my card, and don't tell them I know that like, I don't know them, but don't tell them until I leave because I don't want them coming up and talking to me and thanking me. Just say, 'Have a great day,' and it's just a random gift from a stranger, and that's it."
Yeah.
And it feels so good. I get in the car, I'm all jittery, sometimes be looking in the window, like, just seeing their faces, like and they're gonna tell every single person that day, "Hey, guess what? Some random person bought me food today," right? I really like doing it if I'm at like I used to go to like a diner with my parents and I'd see other people, eating. And it was like one of those diners where you go up and pay afterwards. So it'd be really easy. I could just go to the diner. I'd see like, an older couple, right? And I would just pay for their meal. And I always, and it's not even a lot of money. We're talking about like 25 bucks or something.
Sure.
And it was just like such a cool, good feeling for me. Right. And people pass that on and talk about it all day. At least I hope they do.
Yeah, I
Um,
think it spreads good things to people, right? Most of the stuff that's talked about is all the negative crap, but doing something like that is really, is spreading that positivity, right? Maybe that inspires someone else. Like, when we do one thing every Christmas, and we give out like 100 bikes. We create bikes and put them together, and we hand them out to the
so
neighborhood.
cool.
And I tell everybody about that because, not that I'm trying to brag, but it's like maybe you'll think about something like that and you'll do it in your place, right? Like maybe it
Yeah.
inspires more people to do bigger things like that, and we change the world like that, right?
Yeah, yeah. I mean, anyone that thinks, "Oh, that's bragging," probably doesn't do something like that. Like, you want people to know, right? Tony Robbins always talks about how he does his, like, turkey thing on Thanksgiving. Like, I know about that, and I'm inspired by that to do more, not be like,
Right.
"Oh, look at him brag." Like, no, that's not so if someone wanted to reach out to you and find you, ask you a question, or maybe they're interested in Spark, how do they find you?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I mean, Spark's website is sparkmembership.com. Obviously, I'm on Facebook. Anybody who wants to reach out to me, Ron Sell, they can do it that way as well. Yeah, send me a message. So, yeah, we
Cool.
love to talk with you
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Ron, for being on here. It's been a pleasure to talk to you. I look forward to maybe drinking some tequila with you in
in
Gasparilla
January.
in
Absolutely, buddy.
January. In January. All right. Much love. Thanks,
Hey, thanks
Ron.
so much, man. I had a good time.
My pleasure.